Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Declutter 360 podcast. I'm so glad you're here, as I always am. Today's message is a really important one. And, as I say that, I realize every podcast episode is an important piece of the puzzle, right? Each one of these episodes work together. You take each of these little pieces, put them together to make a whole. This is what allows you to show up in a more organized way, to create new habits for yourself. We're going to talk a little bit about habits today. But the big thing that we're talking about today is this idea of having discipline and how crucial it is for your goal of showing up and living an organized life. That's why you're here, right? That's why you've chosen this particular podcast to tune into. And if this is your very first episode, maybe somebody shared this episode with you, I definitely want to invite you to follow along with the podcast. Go back and listen to other episodes because I know that you are going to find some really amazing nuggets that are going to serve as pieces to your puzzle in living life more organized. So, this idea of discipline and how important it is to organization ties in with something else that I've talked about before. And that's the fact that organizing is not a one and done. I think there are far too many people who believe that they can work really hard, right? They can put forth a certain amount of effort, get their space organized, and then just like that, like bam, that's it. That's all they need to do. Now they're organized and it's supposed to stay that way, right? That's just not how it works. I hate to break that to you, but it's not how it works. Organization requires discipline long term. It requires creating new habits for yourself. It requires showing up in a different way because the way that you have been showing up so far, frankly, is what has gotten you this current life that you're in, where you are living in a disorganized way. And when you stop and think about what that disorganization does for you and does to you, I guarantee if you haven't already identified your why, kind of that motivation for you for why you want to get organized, like what's your reason? That's a really important piece too. But looking at what the disorganization causes you to think about and how it causes you to feel, how it causes you to show up, I promise you that's going to give you some really, really big hints into why it is that you are desiring to get more organized, why it is that you felt called to listen to this podcast and connect with me in this way, right? And the fact of the matter is that you've got to change that way that you're showing up. You've got to change those habits. And the way to do it is through discipline. And there's a really great quote. I'm going to read this to you so I don't mess it up, but a really great quote that illustrates this importance, not just of being disciplined in the moment, but being disciplined long term. And the quote goes, "Discipline not just determines success, but it determines how long you can stay successful." There is no doubt in my mind that you possess the ability to get organized. There is also no doubt in my mind that you possess the ability to stay organized, to exercise the discipline that is required for you to stay organized. The question is, my friend, do you believe that? Because chances are right now, if I asked you about how you feel about your organization, you would tell me something along the lines of, oh, I am not an organized person, or I'm a disorganized person. That's how you identify right now. And there needs to be this switch that gets flipped for you, where you change your identity. You change how you identify. You have to move from identifying as a person who is disorganized to identifying as someone who is organized. And what's really powerful is that when you're exercising this discipline that it takes in showing up consistently and working towards developing new habits of organization, new habits of decluttering to help maintain your organization over time, when you are able to show up consistently like that, you're creating evidence for your brain. Because right now, your brain has a lot of evidence to the contrary. And so you have to show up really purposefully, very consciously, and create this evidence for your brain that shows your brain that you are an organized person. And right alongside, as you are showing your brain and creating this evidence for yourself, I want you to adopt the mantra of I am an organized person. I want you to tell yourself that in the mirror every day. I know that feels kind of cheesy sometimes to stand in the mirror and tell yourself these affirmations or these mantras, but you have to be really purposeful about telling yourself the right thoughts that are going to help fuel you to continue to show up in a disciplined way, to create the evidence so that your thoughts and your actions match up. Does that make sense? So I want to challenge you as you're starting this journey or continuing this journey, wherever you are in your state of moving towards living in a more organized way. I want to challenge you to adopt that mantra. Stand in front of the mirror every day and tell yourself, I am an organized person. Write it down. Do you have a planner that you write in? Go ahead and jot it down, or a journal that you write in, even better. Write down those words. I am an organized person. And if you're journaling, or if you've got a little bit of space in your planner and something comes up for you, a thought, a feeling, when you write that, I am an organized person. It's those thoughts and feelings that come up, write those down too. Because it's really amazing to watch how your thoughts and your feelings evolve over time as you step into that discipline, step into that dedication, step into that commitment that you're making to yourself for whatever your reason is, whatever your motivation is to get organized. It's so powerful, my friend. And I want you to know and to understand how critical showing up for yourself and making your actions and your thoughts and your feelings all connect, how critical that can be for your success. And that's exactly what I want for you. Thanks for joining me this week. I'll see you again soon.